A lot of the women that I've talked to around me who are on these apps, they always say like if a guy has his shirt off, it just kind of feels weird and they just swipe away.
So I haven't been using dating apps all that much. Would love to hear from you. How did you pick out your photos?
The first picture that they see of you, have it be of you so they know who you are. And then having group pictures, I think it's fine as long as you have that solo photo. And I think like whenever I saw pictures of guys with their friends, it looked really good. It was just like, oh, like he has friends, like he's social. And so it was more attractive, I guess.
What do you think of posting photos of friends of the opposite sex?
It doesn't look that great, especially if you did not explain the relationship. Who knows who that other person is? I remember seeing a guy's profile where he was like posing with two girls in their bikinis, and then there's multiple pictures of stuff like that. And I was just like, who would be like, oh my gosh, I really want to get to know this person seriously. And so yeah, I would recommend to like steer away from stuff like that. But if it's like your sister or brother, I think it's really cute when like people have their sibling and be like, oh, like I love my brother, or like. But yeah, make sure to just caption it.
What are some like good answers that you've seen?
I think everybody wants somebody that's funny, right? And so just like trying to be like a little quirky with your answers or showing effort in your answers. And like girls, we can tell. I remember seeing guys answering things with just emojis. What's like your favorite vacation spot? And it's like a palm tree, you know? And it just shows like such a lack of effort. Yeah, I thought that was not that attractive.
How often were you liking other people's photos?
Girls get approached more on Hinge, and the ball is usually in our court, which is sad, but I guess it's just the way that it is. And so I think like the first day I was just like going through people. I didn't like anybody. I was just like seeing who was on this app. I think it's healthy for somebody who is going to go on it, explore it like the first couple days, but then live your life and just like check it once in a while.
The guys that you matched with, I'm assuming they were the ones who approached you and then you liked them back.
Yes.
How did the guys start the conversation?
I think just like asking about how you're doing during this time is a good one because everybody is impacted by this pandemic, right? And showing like care, being like, hey, are you still able to go to work? And is your family okay? And I think it's just like a very like natural way to talk about those things, even though some people might think like, oh, that's a little like too personal. But I think of it as an opportunity to dive in a little bit deeper and just like be a sincere like friend to somebody. A lot of the guys, they just talked about like the things that I wrote on my profile, and remembering that I think is really important, because once you start talking to 2 or 3 people at a time, sometimes it's easy to like forget like, oh crap, what was on their profile? Or let's just say you and I matched, Henry, and I'm like talking to you and I mentioned, oh yeah, like how's your work at Boeing going? But you don't even work at Boeing, right? And that happened like a couple times, and that's obviously a turn off. And so studying their profile or like reviewing your text before you start talking to them or meeting them, I think is pretty important.
Got it. And when is it the right time to ask for a video date?
You don't want to wait too long, but you don't want it to be super quick. To be safe, maybe like 3 days to a week. I feel like a week is a little long, especially if the conversation is flowing really well. For me, at least, I'd be like, when is this guy going to ask me out? You know, I'm so frustrated. Don't let it go past a week, especially if it's just a video date. I think it's fine to ask.
What does a video date look like?
My first one, I made it into a dinner date where like he bought food and I bought food, and we decided on like the same restaurant. So I think we got Chipotle or something. I didn't like dress up, but I like got ready, and it was funny because he was wearing button up, and it was just really sweet. And that's like a good conversation starter. Like, oh, this is so funny. We're having dinner together. I think that's a really good way to make it less awkward, just because you could like talk about the food or like the restaurant. Like you're not just like sitting there looking at them, you're like actually doing something. I think a lot of my video dates, they didn't go past an hour, especially if it's like the first time. And so yeah, short and sweet.
How did you follow up on your video date?
Usually they or I will send a text saying like, hey, it was so great to see you. Can we do this again? Or we felt like there was like a better connection. We would be like, hey, like I want to see you in person. And if you're up for it and comfortable with it, that would happen.
How many people should you be talking to at the same time?
You need to be talking to more than one, because if you're just talking to one person you really, really like, and there was none of that like DTR happening, they could like ghost you. They could just be like, hey, like this is not going to work out. I'm sorry. And you just be devastated. And also, I think talking to 2 or 3 people, it really helps spread out where you're putting your heart.
Anything that you would tell to your previous self before using Hinge?
An important thing to remember is just meet somebody that likes you, right? And always, always be willing to walk away. If they're not respectful to you, or if they're not putting in that same effort, if you have to wait like a day for a guy to text you back, just walk away. And I think there's like power in that, and standing up for yourself, or being like, no, like, I'm actually not just in it for fun. Like, I do want a relationship. And maybe they get scared off. Being able to like let those people go. Yeah, know your value, walk away when you need to. And I think it's also important to have fun. Don't take it too seriously, but have fun and just be genuine in your interactions.